Hello and welcome to Building a Data Center, a Non-Definitive Guide, Episode 2. Today we're going to be covering DNS. So what is DNS? DNS stands for Domain Name System. DNS is what allows us to translate names into IP addresses. It also controls things such as how your mail flows. There are text records, for instance, that you can create to supply anyone who can query that some type of text. Google uses these for verification that you own a domain. They'll ask you to put something in a text record. They'll query your DNS and see if that record exists. Um, MX records are used for mail exchange records, so that allows you to tell other servers where your mail goes. You can even set up priorities and set up 2 or 3 different hosts so that they all kind of dump however they need to. Um, there are A records and there are quad A records. There's C names. C names are basically aliases. A records are normal IP4. Quad A's are IP6. I could go on, but I'm not going to. So DNS is integral to every single thing out there. It is very needed for all of your networking. A lot of networking issues all fall back to DNS. WINS is great. It's the Windows Internet Naming Scheme system, but and WINS can save your butt. Don't get me wrong. I've had issues where DNS was complete trash and WINS came in and saved the day with net bias names. But in today's world, DNS is kind of where it's at. Matter of fact, Microsoft even tells you don't even bother installing WINS anymore. I run pretty much an entirely uh, Unix Linux mix, so I really don't need WINS. I use DNS. And why do we use DNS? Why do you want to host your own DNS? Well, there's a couple reasons. It makes things much faster on your end. Whenever you go to a new place, new website, you can query your own, and then if others in your network query the same site, now they're only having to go that one hop away instead of all the way out to your ISP. ISP data is normally logged, and a lot of ISPs are starting to actually sell that data now. So they can say, 8,500 of our users are going to Netflix, and we can prove that with logs. Netflix, if you want, we can start advertising for you. Um, there's that. There's also security implications as well. You can turn around and you can black hole a DNS entry. So, for instance, evil.com, someone goes there and all of a sudden they get hacked. Well, I don't want to say hacked. Let's just say they get a piece of malware. Um, and then you want to make sure no one else goes to evil.com. Okay, fine. You simply make a DNS entry for 127.0.0.1, which is their own machine. They'll never get there. I used to do this a lot for when I used to run a school and I wanted to block websites. So anyway, let's get started. Today we're going to be using starting to set up a semi-complex DNS system. Um, so we have our firewall that we're going to go into at another stage, but for right now, this is our firewall. I'll assume you have your own. Um, we're going to be setting up a Pi-hole DNS, and Pi-hole is a great product. Um, it is a black hole for ad banning, basically. It's used to uh, black hole all kinds of advertisements. It is it is truly an awesome thing for you to get on the internet with no ads. You can control what you will and will not do. It was originally written to be a used for the Raspberry Pi, hence its name of Pi-hole. But as you see, they have many other OSs that they support now. We'll be installing it on Ubuntu just because that's what I'm most familiar with. Um, it's very easy to do, very easy to get started, and it's just truly a wonderful product. I donate to them. I suggest you do as well if you start using it more often. But let's get back to our setup for this. So everyone in our network is over here, and this is our Pi-hole DNS, and they'll be using Pi-hole for all the querying. Now, Pi-hole DNS, of course, needs to do DNS entry or querying for other hosts because it doesn't know where Facebook.com is. So it allows you to pick and choose who you want to use as your DNS provider. Yes, you could use your ISP, but there are others out there. There's Quad9. Quad9 is a great service. It's free, and it basically monitors from malicious domains and automatically blocks them. OpenDNS does the same thing. They have a paid version. OpenDNS lets you do a lot of great things. I'll show you that in a little bit. And you may notice that our mail server here is bypassing the Pi-hole, and you're probably wondering why would you do that? Well, the reason is um, this blocks advertisements. Well, what if a company who's an advertising company tries to send me an email, or I try to send them an email? I don't want it to go nowhere. I want it to get out. So our mail server will point to the firewall. Our firewall will have its own DNS server running as well. So we have DNS1, DNS2, and then DNS servers on the internet. I will explain a little bit more why. Again, we have the evil.com thing, but there's also content filtering you can do with OpenDNS or your own DNS. I highly suggest not using Google. Google makes its money off of advertising. And the reason that they set up those wonderful, easy to remember DNS names, or numbers, I guess, 8.8.8.8 and 8.8.4.4, is because they want you to use their DNS because they want to be able to sell the data. That's just how Google works. You know, it's their model. It's like everyone asks, how can Android be relatively free? And Apple, why do they cost so much? Well, the bottom line is Apple's model is to sell overpriced hardware. They take hardware, they make the hardware, and they sell it at a very high price, and they make a profit off of that. Google, on the other hand, their phones, they give the OS for free because they make their money off of advertisements. So that's why you have ads all over the place. So completely different models of how they make money, and there's security reasons for one or the other. I am a huge Linux fanboy, and because of that, I'm still with Android. Um, that said, Apple does have a much more better security model. I will probably end up getting an iPhone at some point. I've done mobile forensics on both of them, and the forensics on the Apple is a lot better than on Android. Pretty much everything's wide open on the Android at all times. It's recording everything, and it's a little scary. Anyway, so we're going to move on. So we're going to go to our Proxmox. Now this Proxmox is different than the one we've been using. This is my production Proxmox, which will eventually become my dev Proxmox. But for right now, this is my production one. You see I already have a Pi-hole running. We're going to be creating a new one, okay? And because I already have one running, I'll be changing using a different IP, but it'll be fine. One of the things we're going to talk about also is templates in Proxmox. So if you go to your storage, you can have templates, and you can download these templates. So Ubuntu, and you can click on this and just click download, and you will download a 200 meg file. Running about, I think it's 200. Yeah, there's 203 megs. Okay, and so I also have a server mini, which is 64 meg. I uploaded this ISO myself because I like the mini one because it has a lot less bloat. But the templates are different. Templates are fully installed, ready to go. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's create a new container. Okay, and we'll call this one testpi. You can set the root password. I'm going to be using a less secure one because I don't really care. You can also do SSH keys if you wish. Next, template we're going to use is the Ubuntu template. We're going to hit next. 8 gigs is fine. We hit next. Number of processors is 4, and you're like, wait a minute, that's a lot for DNS, and it's true. Let's go to 2. But even 2 is kind of high. But let me explain how processors work inside an LXC container. They don't take away from the host. When you create a VM, it creates the VM and it pulls those processors away from the host. So when you say 2 cores, you actually are allocating 2 cores to the VM. In a container, all you're doing is limiting to 2 cores. You're saying you can only use a max of 2 cores. You're still keeping those processors accessible by the host and other machines, as a matter of fact. This is why a lot of places are starting to go more toward the container model, because you can limit the number of cores, you can limit the amount of RAM, but you're not stealing it from the host. So if you've got a server that doesn't really get used that often, but maybe once a week, and you want to limit it to a certain amount, you can do that, and that way the rest of the time it's sitting idle, other things can use those cores. Anyways, let's go on to memory. And honestly, this is way overkill for what we're doing. But again, it's not stealing it, it's just limiting it. We're going to set this to be a DHCP static because I don't want one. And we're going to put it on my LAN. And we're going to say next. And leave this part alone because it is going to be a DNS server. And we're good. And let's go ahead and start it. What this will do is it will actually extract that archive, create the container for you. It's pretty quick, creating SSH keys and all that stuff, and it's done just that fast. We've got a test Pi right here, and if we go to console, look, it's already booted. It's ready to go. That was very fast. And yes, I do have good hardware behind here, but it's not great hardware. This is an SSD with a repurposed Dell. So we're going to log in as root. And you'll notice first off, we're on 18.04.1. We really need to be on 18. We want to be as updated as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to write a quick, long, but quick thing here. So we're going to say apt update and apt upgrade. Yes, meaning just do it. Apt auto remove, so we remove packages that aren't needed anymore. And apt auto clean. Guess what it does? It removes packages that we've downloaded. And this is going to take some time to run, so I'm going to go ahead and pause where we're at and let this run in the background. Okay, so that finished. One of the things we're going to need to do is we're going to need to install curl because it's not included on the template. It's a very small template. They don't really have anything installed. So we'll install curl real quick. And once that's done, we will go ahead and start installing Pi. One of the things that I do want to show you guys is if you go with OpenDNS, you can create an account with them, which is free, and you can set up your IP. And from there, you'll be able to choose your web content filtering right there. So you can remove things pretty easily just by a checkbox. And it's all done by category, so it's really easy. You know, like for instance, maybe maybe we don't want to have pornography and nudity because I have an 8-year-old. I don't want her to see those things. So you can easily lock this down. Adult themes, while you would think that's kind of pornography, it's not. It's things that are just adult in nature. And I've come across a few things that I've had to actually see. Not anything bad or anything. It's just that it's adult in nature. So one of the other ones is like proxies, for instance. This proxy anonymizer. That's great, but things like Brave.com, the Brave browser, it's considered a proxy anonymizer because it does Tor. So you got to kind of play with these a little bit, but you can play and pick and choose however you wish on these. Anyway, let's get back to our Pi here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, I'm pretty sure I cannot copy into this. Yeah, I cannot copy into this. That's fun. So we'll do curl-s sl and then https. It's okay. It's not that hard. I promise. install.py-hole.net, and then we're going to pipe this to bash, and it's going to tell me it can't do something. What can it do? I just installed curl. Like literally. Yeah, it's there. Why are you saying that it's not there? Oh, it doesn't like bash. That's interesting. I had no problem doing that before. Okay, fine. We'll do this. We'll curl it down, and then that's interesting. Bash. Yeah, it's fine. That's so weird. I hope you guys aren't having this problem. Uh, that makes no sense. Oh, wait a second. I'm an idiot. Yeah, that works. It's a capital L. Yes. So this is going to now work and do its thing. It's going to download Git and download some other things so that it can run. And saying, hey, we're going to do this to a network-wide ad blocker. You're going to say, okay, it's free, but please pay me. And sure. It needs to have a static address. We're going to say for right now, it is a static, even though I told it DHCP because I already have one running. Here's where you get to choose your DNS upstream provider. You can even use your own if you wish. So we're going to just say OpenDNS for now. These are the malware or the ad block list, and we're going to say those are fine, and then sure, and then are we sure? Yes. I promise it's totally a IP conflict. Okay, that's new. Okay. Uh, Install a web admin interface. Sure. Yes to the web server. Yes to log everything because we want to know everything. It does ask you. It can hide things from even the admin, but we're going to say we want to see everything because we do. And also, this allows you to see what other hosts have gone to a certain site. So again, using our evil.com example, let's say that you know Dolores decided to go to evil.com. We can go into Piehole here and we can look and see who else went to evil.com. And it turns out Karen in accounting did because Karen always does things. So make sure you write down this right here. This is it can be reset, but it's a little difficult to do. Um, and then, of course, the IP address is 224 and /admin. So we're going to say OK, and we will go to 10.10.10.2. What was it? Oh, good Lord. See, that's what happens when you get old, people. You forget things. 224. Yeah. I used to be good at these things. I used to be good at numbers. 4. All right, and then we have to do /admin, of course. And now you can log in, and that password is, I can copy and paste into here. And we're going to log in, and now you're in the admin section of Pi-hole. You can see the current temp of the processor. You can see what load there is. The average memory usage right now is like a 5%. You can go to the query log, and you can look and see who's done what. So, like, GitHub, for instance. Okay, all local hosts, because we were the ones who just looked it up when we installed, right? Nobody else is really going to be hitting this, so I won't be able to show you a whole lot. And I don't want you to see my browsing traffic, so I'm not going to show you mine. You can whitelist things so that it's always available, right? Now, this will work great if you're not using OpenDNS, because even if you whitelist it in Pi-hole, OpenDNS is still blacklisting it. So You can also come here and you can block things instantly. Okay. You can disable this for a few minutes if you need to, just to get around a block that may not be open DNS related. Maybe it's an advertising domain. Uh, the sponsored links inside Amazon, for instance, they're considered ads. So you click on the link and you go nowhere. Some of the tools, you can update things from here. It's very easy to upgrade. And here you can see who's on your network, which is very helpful, but only if it sees the traffic for it. In this case, this is my router. Um, oh, oops. You can actually drill down into things as you see. This is my actual Pi hole. This is me, my machine. Um, you can go to settings, and in here you can change and update your block list. You can add your own. You can go to DNS and you can choose who your upstream provider is for either of them. So you don't have to make that a permanent decision. You can decide, you know what, I decided Google's not where I want to be. I want to be with Quad 9. You can also choose your own if you wish. Uh, it'll do DHCP reservations for you if you want, including static leases. I used to actually manage everything on my network through here one time. It also has an API that you can work with Google on how to do that. Um, this is if you want to show everything in here, or if you want to kind of hide everything from yourself and you don't care. We're not doing that because this is part of our security. This is the teleporter. Basically, it allows you to download everything that you've got in here, and you can export it and re-import it somewhere else. But that's basically it. So that's Pi-hole in a nutshell. Again, extremely useful for a few things, not only blocking ads, but also the ability to block any domain that you wish by going to this blacklist here and removing, like Facebook, for instance. You can also do wildcards and regexes. So lots of cool things in Pi-hole for you to look at. I highly encourage you to try it out, and that will be the end of this video. Thank you and have a good day.